June 6, 1944. D-Day. The medical professionals who refused to go to war. War is cruel. It never stops for anyone, not even the dying or the injured. However, two men did the unimaginable in the confusion of D-Day. They disobeyed even war itself. With their Red Cross armbands and unwavering bravery, two American medical professionals transformed a tiny Normandy church into a haven of life. Even though the village was being shot at and soldiers were being killed by the dozen, these men made it clear that humanity would prevail over war within these walls. This is their tale. The start of a mission D-Day, June 6, 1944. Gasping for air, Ken Moore plunges headlong into the muddy Normandy fields. He rushes to cut himself free from his parachute as the gunfire pierces the morning air. His gaze focuses on a far-off church, a soaring figure against the rising sun. Its side is painted with a red cross. He runs in its direction. Wright is already working inside. The wooden pews are now hospital beds instead of places for worshippers to sit. Only their medical bags and unwavering resolve are present. There are no supply cases or surgical instruments. The doors then flew open. They are at the doorstep of the war. There is no side in the war, nor would there be. Outside, the fighting continues. As the Germans advance into the village, fierce house-to-house fighting is forced. Once a haven of tranquility, the church is now alive with the cries of the injured. Ken is unable to watch. With only the Red Cross on his helmet for protection, he dashes outside without a weapon. Reaching a wounded soldier, he maneuvers through the gunfire. However, he senses eyes on him as he raises him. A soldier from Germany. The trigger is in the finger, aiming the rifle. However, the soldier pauses. The Red Cross appears to him. He brings his gun down. Ken gives a silent nod of comprehension and quickly heads back to the church. More wounded, both German and American, fill the church as the hours go by. No one dares to protest, but some soldiers glare at the sight of enemy uniforms. Ken would later remark, "They were young men, just like us. They simply had different uniforms on." The church turns into a haven. It gets dark. The 101st Airborne must withdraw. Ken and Robert are warned by an officer. "We're pulling back. We cannot accept the injured." The medics look at each other. "We're not going anywhere." The village is soon retaken by German troops. However, they do something unexpected. Rather than murder the two American medics, they begin bringing their own injured to the church and pleading for assistance. The church is bursting at the seams. The floors are turned into beds. Near the altar are those who are closest to death. Then there was a knock on the door. At the entrance is a German officer. Robert blocks his path as he enters. Robert assertively states, "No guns inside." After examining him, the officer nods to his men. They take their weapons away. "What do you need?" he asks. Robert doesn't think twice. "Sources, as well as a physician." The policeman grinned. "I'll deliver them to you within a day." They exchange handshakes. War is irrelevant at that point. Humanity alone does. These men even stop the war. The battle re-emerges by noon. House by house, American forces retake the village as they push back. However, an odd thing occurs. Everything comes to a halt when Ken and Robert enter the battlefield. German and American soldiers drop their weapons. The medics were allowed to pass. There is no war for those few seconds. However, the church remains vulnerable. It rains mortars. One rolls across the floor after crashing through the stained glass window. A miracle. The church would have been destroyed if it had exploded. Then there was gunfire. The windows are shattered by bullets, and glass showers the injured. Unaware of the sanctuary inside, a Sherman tank outside fires its machine gun. Someone beats Robert as he rushes out. The tank is already stopped by an American soldier from the 101st. A few seconds later, An officer barges in and demands that they be allowed to set up an observation post atop the church steeple. Ken declines. "That's not possible," he says. The lieutenant officer attempts to pull rank. Robert, however, refuses to back down. This church serves as a sanctuary. It won't be turned into a weapon. Ultimately, the lieutenant concedes. The church is still a place of refuge. They leave a legacy. These two men cared for more than 80 injured soldiers for 3 days and 2 nights. There were only 2 that perished. That same church is still standing today. Robert Wright and Kenneth Moore are honored with a monument. Their courage is immortalized in stained glass windows. The bloodstains from that fateful day are still visible on the wooden pews. Additionally, Robert Wright's grave is marked by a plain plaque in the churchyard. The bureaucracy had rejected his request to be buried there. However, a portion of his ashes returned somehow. The only thing that marks the location is his initials, REW. However, the story of bravery, selflessness, and 2 men who opposed war lies within those 3 letters. Watch more of our videos and subscribe to the channel if this amazing story inspired you. I appreciate you preserving history.